Shalom. We're continuing our series on Purim, and I'd like to devote tonight to Matanot Laevyonim and Rabbi Yosef Engel Zatzal. We'll give a little biographical information about Rabbi Yosef Engel, and then we'll read a piece of his on Purim, and then I'd like to just close with. This isn't halach l'maisa, but halach l'maisa shir, but it's certainly about halachic topics, and so we'll just mention that what poskim seem to be saying about the approach that he presents. This is the sefer. You'll see the picture of his sefer here. Gilyonei Shas is one of his many svarim. Now, a little bit about Rav Yosef Engel. You see that he passes away in 1920, so he's the early, he's the Achronim that were around at the very beginning of the 20th century. This is Galicia, and he has a Hasidic side. From his mother. His mother was descended from Reb Chaim Mitzan's, and the tradition is, and so we're told that he took his son. That Rav Yosef Engel was actually brought to the Tzanzer Rebbe as a young boy. Now, Rav Yosef Engel's in a class with the Rogatchover. He's in a class with these unique Talmidei Chachamim who are a little bit outside the system. And you'll see point number 4 there. He learned from his uncle Rav Shmuel Engel Zatzal, with his chavrusa Rav Meir Arik Zatzal. Rav Yosef Engel was known as the Ilui of Tarnov, and this is the line which I think is very relevant here. He was primarily an autodidact, so people like that we often get very rich material from. He served as a Rav, Dayan, Rosh Hashiva in Krakow. But he had to move to Vienna in World War I, and that's where he passed away. And you get a sense of his greatness and the support people and the love people had for him. Around 20,000 people attended his funeral. He was an original thinker who combined massive bekias and Torah literature with unique conceptual analysis. I will add one thing that I read and saw is that he's one of those that unites Kabbalistic sources with Nigla sources, Midrashim, and I don't know about halacha so much, but that's another feature of his work. Now, Rav Vazner Zatzal passed away only a few years ago. So said he saw 90 kisvei yad in Rav Yosef Engel's house, and of those, only a dozen remain. And here's a list of the svarim. Again, this is pulled off Wikipedia. There's a couple things that are like Wikipedia: Wiki, Yeshiva, Michlol. They're all in the same word, the same world. Now these are. These are some of his svarim. They include a lot of lumdus. Beis Otzar, Lekach Tov, Asvan Doraisa. Asvan Doraisa is probably the most well used. This particular one is from Gilyonei Shas, which is notes on the Gemara. Piece that we're gonna have. Tov. Oops, sorry about that. That was a mistake. That's a leftover from the previous year. Okay, sorry about that. Now, we'll learn a Gemara together, which is the Gemara he comments on. Then we'll see how his comment affects Purim. Amar Rabba bar Machsia, Amar Rabbi Chama bar Guria, Rav Chama bar Guria Marav. Hanosein matana lechavero tzorach lahadio. Somebody who gives a present to his friend has to tell his friend that he's giving him a present. Shenemar ladas ki ani Hashem mikarishchem. Hashem said, you should know that I am sanctifying you. Tanya nami hachi. There's a brisa that says some to the same effect. Ladas ki ani Hashem mikarishchem. Omer lo HaKadosh Baruch Hu leMoshe. God said to Moshe, Matana tova yesh li bebeis ganazai. I have a nice present in my treasure house. V'Shabbos Shema, its name is Shabbos. V'ani mevakesh litnon l'Yisrael. I want to give it to Israel. Lech v'odim, go and tell them. You see from here that HaKadosh Baruch Hu didn't just give the present of Shabbos to Am Yisrael, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Am Yisrael about the present that he's giving them. Mikan Amar Rav Shimon Gamliel said to this, Hanosim pas latinok, somebody who gives bread to a child, Tzorich lo dia le'imo. He has to tell the child's mother. Mayavile. What does he do? Amar Abaye, sha'if le mashcha umali le kuchla. You rub some oil on his head. The mother will ask, "Where's this oil from?" And then the child will let the mother know. Mali le kuchla, or he'll put something on his eye. And that would be a fulfillment of this approach. Now, I just want to point out something interesting here. You have this pretty much one of the loftiest things we can speak about is the gift of Shabbos and the holiness of Shabbos to Klal Yisrael, and then in the same breath, the Gemara applies it to giving a piece of bread to a child. Rav Chama bar Rabbi Chanina. You have the exact opposite. You don't have to tell. Moshe didn't know that there were rays of light coming from his face. When he spoke with God. Lo kasha, the Gemara says, that doesn't raise a difficulty, meaning the two statements, that of Rav Chama bar Guria Marav, that somebody gives a present to his friend must tell him, and that of Rav Chama bar Rabbi Chanina, that who gives a present does not have to tell him, those two can live together. How? With something that will eventually be revealed, so you don't have to tell. Something which will not, so then you do have to tell. Says the Gemara, Shabbos is something that is going to be revealed. The mun is not going to fall on Shabbos. There's going to be double mun on Friday. Answer, Matan schora lo avid ligluye. It's true. Shabbos was revealed. Shabbos was one of the 10 commandments, but the reward for Shabbos, lo avid ligluye. So that has to be told to Klal Yisrael. Okay. Rashi says, just Rashi's explanation, Tzarech Lodi, we have to tell him, Matan ploni aten lecha. I'm going to give you a present. Now Rashi explains, Vizel derech kavod. This is to preserve the honor of the recipient. Deshemi isbayesh lekabla, for perhaps he will be embarrassed to receive the present. Umitoch kach mitratzim bidvarim, and through telling the person about the present that he's going to be getting, so he's interested in it. He agrees. He's not embarrassed about this. And the same thing if you were to drop off a present in somebody's house without his knowledge, meaning you live next door to somebody and you just you buy him a lawnmower and just put the lawnmower over his fence, and he finds himself with a new lawnmower. So he has to tell him that it comes from him, because through that he will love him. So Rashi says, Rashi seems to be telling us two things. Number one, that there's a preventative side. If you say I'm going to be giving you a present, so then that's a way of making the person receptive to giving the present, and he won't be embarrassed to receive it if he gets if he's prepared for it. And number two, it will accomplish love, which the present is supposed to accomplish. Meaning, part of a present is expressing a relationship. And so if the person's just has an anonymous, let's say, somehow you just anonymously drop some money into his in his coat. As you see, somebody's in the base medrash, he hangs up his coat, and he goes and sits in the base medrash and learns. You go over to his coat and you stick into his coat $700, and he doesn't know where it's coming from. Well, that present, that will increase his resources. He'll have more money now, and he'll know that it's coming from somebody. Somebody's doing him something good, even though he perhaps might be worried that somehow he has accidentally somebody else's money. But a part of a present is in order to cultivate a relationship, and the other person doesn't know who it's coming from. So that relationship, that love that the present is supposed to be accomplishing, will not happen. So Rashi mentions the two things: the sur mirah, that it will avoid the embarrassment of words, will avoid the embarrassment of receiving something. But number two, shemitoch kach ye'ohavo. Tosfos says the following. Based on, again, it's built on Rashi, the second half of Rashi. Tosfos there also on Shabbos. Hanose matana l'chaver u'tzarech lo'odio. V'dafka b'matana shenosin lo al yedei ahava she'eino mekabel mispayesh. But this is only with a gift that you are giving through love, a birthday present, a wedding present, etc. She'eino mekabel mispayesh. The receiver is not embarrassed. Aval hanosein tzedakah she'hamekabel mispayesh matan b'sefer yechad ve'af. We find that with tzedakah, there's a special maila, there's a special high level of tzedakah where the recipient and the giver don't know each other. Just a moment. Yes. Right, that's the point. Meaning, if you give a present anonymously, so theoretically, the person actually might feel, oh my God, somebody's giving me tzedakah. Is my coat a little frayed or something like that? But Tosfos says there's a chiluk, there's a distinction between tzedakah and a matana. When you're giving a present, which is a present of expressing love, a relationship style present, a birthday present, a present for a simcha and the like, there you must tell, because that will accomplish the ahava. And the exact opposite is true by tzedakah, by telling who gave it. So there's the possibility of embarrassment. Now, the Maharal has a comment. Let me just a moment before we do the Maharal. I don't need your tzedakah, right? Interesting. Interesting. Yeah. There's some presents that are clear gifts of relationships. An anniversary present a wedding present, etc. And there's other presents that are clearly tzedakah, somebody who is unfortunate and the like. And then there might be situations like the kind that David is bringing up that there's a little ambiguity, and yeah, okay. Now and so then you want to avoid negative feelings there. Now the Maharal here, we see the Maharal with the style of the Maharal. Hanose Matanot l'chavero, somebody gives a present. Now let's read starting right over here. Perish. Kasher nosein matana l'chaver, when you give a present to your friend, kishem shehu nosein, just like he is the giver, kach ra'oi sheyeh mekabel gamor lezos matana. Therefore, it is fitting that there should be a complete receiver for this gift. Di'ilokein ein kanesina. If there's no receiver, there's no giving. Kasher ein mekabel osa matana. When there's not a receiver for that gift. Now, this is you see the contrast between Rashi and the Maharal. Rashi says, very straightforward, a gift is in order to express love. And if you don't tell, the love won't be expressed. The Maharal takes a definitional approach. The Maharal says the essence of a gift is where there's a giver and a receiver. A necessary component of a gift is that there be a receiver. If the receiver doesn't know who gave it to him, he's not called a recipient. When he doesn't know from who he's receiving. Therefore, you have to tell, so that there should be a receiver for that matana. If he doesn't tell him, there's no receiver for this matana. If he's a poor person and he needs parnasa, he wasn't intending other than the results of being mefarnes the ani. So you see how the Maharal is interpreting this whole thing as the definition of a present necessitates that there be a receiver. You want to give something that's going to be called a matana? A matana involves a giver and a receiver. And if you just give and there's no receiver, well then you don't have the act of a gift. When you give a gift to an ani, well, that's, if you will, that's goal-oriented. That's trying to get to be mefarnes ani. As long as the ani is sustained, so there's parnasa there. Whereas a gift involves a giver and receiver by nature, and a receiver doesn't know who's giving him. That's not called a receiver of this gift. Now, here we move to Purim. Rav Yosef Engel brings this Maharal, and he says as follows. When we spar b'dvarav deyesh chiluk bein shem matana l'shem tzedakah. There's a difference between the expression matana and the expression tzedakah. De matana hu inyan nesina shenoseina makabel. The whole gift involves giving, where there's a receiver. V'lachein tzarech hamakabel leida. The receiver must know kedei sheyeh sham kabbalah gemora mitzido. So there be a complete kabbalah. There can be a complete receiving from his side. The hanesina v'kabbalah yachad heim hashlamas inyan hanesina. For the giving and the receiving together are the completion of this experience called giving. Mashein kenesina below Kabbalah, giving without receiving. Gama nesina and nesina shlema. The giving is not a giving. Kenesina v'Kabbalah him shemos hamitztarfin. Giving and receiving are two things that come together. They're two components of the same thing. B'chasher yesh nesinas hanosein. Kabbalah samakabel. When there's giving, there must be receiving. Ubilti Kabbalah gam nesina no nechshav. There's no giving unless there's a recipient. There might be an attempt to give, but there's no giving unless there's a recipient. It's definitional. Ki im lo kibel makabel l'minitzan. If the receiver didn't receive it, so who was it given to? Meaning, it takes two to tango, as we say. Tzedakah is different. Tzedakah is not a gift. Tzedakah is, as we said, goal-oriented to fill the needs, the lack of the ani. You don't need his das. You don't need him to agree to be makabelet. Rak hashlamas chesron olavad. You can go to the makolet and you can pay his bill. Go pay his grocery bill, and that's also. Right, I hear. Yeah. Meaning, if you, in other words, if you want to make sure that something is understood to be a gift, so give a gift-like thing, and not something that might be misinterpreted as a. That's what David is suggesting. That's in terms of the psychological side of not confusing tzedakah and a gift. But in terms of the definitional side, the gift that is part of a relationship involves, by definition, a giver and a receiver. And if there's no receiver, so the giving ends up not being giving. But tzedakah is different. Tzedakah is simply to accomplish that which is lacking the poor person to be fulfilled, and so he doesn't need any das on this. Rak hashlamas chesron levad. All he needs is that his lack has been filled. But who called the barat tzedakah? That's the whole point of tzedakah. Okay, here comes the plug-in, and this is where Purim comes in. Well, lefiza lechora leinyan matanos Laevyonim bepurim. Apparently, the issue of matanos Laevyonim, gifts to the poor on Purim, dichsiv l'shon matana bakra. The pasuk says umatanos Laevyonim, and the Torah knows, the Tanakh knows the word tzedakah. So then it sounds like, definitionally, matanos Laevyonim must be a matana. Yutzrach sheyedah ha'ani shenosin lo. So the ani must know who's giving it to him. Via dina shoneh mishar tzedakah, and that would follow that the dinim of matanos Laevyonim are different than tzedakah. Dehu mala, by tzedakah, it's actually a high level. When the ani doesn't know who's giving it to him, who he's getting it from, then he's not going to be embarrassed. So, and the Rambam, again, the Rambam has his 8 levels of tzedakah. Of course, the highest levels get is helping him find a job so he can sustain himself. But then the two next levels are the 3 next levels involve either neither the giver or receiver knowing each other, or one or the other. So it's a high level of tzedakah, dafka, that the receiver and the giver should know each other. But the Torah calls it matanos. So apparently, there has to be, based on the Maharal's idea, a giver and a receiver. Without a receiver, without the receiver knowing that he's receiving it. So he can't be called a receiver, but then the giver is not giver. Rather, you have to tell. It says matana. Umatana nechshav rak b'yediyas hamakabel v'chanal v'zeh chidush din lechara. And this, he says, seems to be a chidush din. Now, it is not written in the sources, in the earlier sources. This is quoted as Rav Yosef Engel's idea. Let me pull up two sources. Just a moment. Yeah, I don't know. That's the way I've seen it. That's the way I've seen it spelled. That's the way it seems that he's spelling it on his sefer. Here we are. Okay, here, I'll share this. Some of the collections of Psak Halacha on Purim, so they mention this din, but they also mention that this doesn't seem to be the accepted halacha. There are those who wrote that Matanot Laevyonim, you're not Yotze unless the receiver knows who's giving it to him. Well, and then it would follow that, of course, the giver has to know who he's giving to. We don't say this lahalacha, and that's a footnote you'd bet on the bottom. He quotes the Rav Yosef Engel, and he says, it follows. Well, first of all, he does say that the Ritva and the Bach seem to contrast Matanot Laevyonim with separate tzedakah, meaning it's not just a mitzvah that on Purim we give tzedakah, meaning every day you give tzedakah, or every now and then you give tzedakah when an ani comes, or when you have some money you want to distribute. But on Purim, this would be the opposing approach. On Purim, it's very important to give tzedakah also. Don't let Purim go by without giving tzedakah. So says the Ritva, says the Bach, no. Matanot Laevyonim is not merely giving tzedakah on Purim. Matanot Laevyonim is a special din that is connected with Simchas Purim to make sure that the poor are going to be included with Simchas Purim. And so you might theoretically have said that that there must be a relationship not only with the Mishloach Manos, where people are sending presents to their friends, but also that there are presents given to the Anim, not just in order to increase their bank account, so to speak, or make sure they have the resources they need, but also in order that we have a relationship with the Anim, that the Anim aren't left out. But not just that they're not able to have what to eat, but they're also part of the connectedness. But he says he quotes 1, 2, 3 that Ashelis and Shuvas Beis Avihu, I'm not sure that is, who says the main point of Matanot Laevyonim is that the poor should be happy on Purim. And so as long as they have what they need, fine. And he quotes Lev Avraham, who was a sefer I don't know, Mikrei Kodesh. That is, just a minute. I'm blanking out if that's Rav Tzvi Pesach Frank or not. But he says, no, Adarabba. Better they should know. That's common practice also. I have another sefer that quotes this issue. I think this is a Belzer Posek of Mordechai Gross. Yeah, you should see this. So again, he quotes Rav Yosef Engel. He also mentions that the Ritva seems to be taking a similar direction to contrast between tzedakah and Matanot Laevyonim. But but similarly, he brings the Lashon Rambam that it doesn't seem like we have to tell. I just want to maybe end with something that Rav Asher Weiss mentions a number of times. Sometimes when something is not said, that itself says something. Meaning the fact that nobody, if there is such a requirement that the ani must know who is giving him this present, so then that would have been mentioned. I seem to be, maybe I saw this here in this article, the expression Maus Purim that they use, which seems to be that they went and they made a collection for Purim. And the nature of that is going to be that the poor are not going to know who's giving it to them, because they're not going to know exactly. There's not a little petek on every coin that comes to them. So again, Rav Yosef Engel though stems from this Maharal, where you really see the Maharal's approach coming out, and his contrast to Rashi. And you see the chiluk, the distinction between a matana and tzedakah. Just Rav Yosef Engel just goes the next step and says, "Wow, in Purim you have matanos laevyonim. It's called matanos, and but it's to be given to evyonim. That's not called tzedakah laevyonim. So that's a suggestion he makes, but like many things that come up in halacha, this doesn't seem to be the way it is done, and that doesn't seem to be the direction of the poskim. And I would add from the quiet from other sources, the Ritva again contrasts. He doesn't say this particular din. He just says that Matanot Laevyonim is different than standard tzedakah. But again, that could be in terms of its goal. That it's not just that the poor should have what they need, but that the poor should have Simchas Purim. But then that's in terms of where what the money's going to be used for. Okay, that's what I wanted to share with you. What I would like to discuss next week, God willing, is in there's a tshuva by Rav Yaakov Breish about something which is a very halacha l'maisa case, are you yotze mishloach manos if you said something before Purim, so that it will arrive on Purim? That's, God willing, what we're going to discuss next week, and that'll be our the third in our series on Purim. Okay, be well.
All right. So it's daylight savings